My name is not Alan, the boy said. It's Squid, and that's X-Ray. Hey, said X-Ray. He smiled and shook Stanley's hand. Here are glasses, but they were so dirty that Stanley wondered how he could see out of them. Mr. Pendersky told Alan to go to the rec hall and bring the other boys to Miss Stanley. Then he led him inside the tent. There were 7 coats, each one less than 2 feet from the one next to it. Which was Louis's coat? Mr. Pendersky asked. Buff bags left here, said X-Ray, kicking at one of the beds. All right, Stanley, that will be yours, said Mr. Pendersky. Stanley looked at the coat and nodded. He wasn't particularly thrilled about sleeping in the same coat, and that had been used by somebody named Buffbag. 7 crates were stacked in 2 piles at the one side of the tent. The open end of crates faced outward. Stanley put his backpack, change of clothes, and towel in what used to be Buffbag's crate. It was at the bottom of the stack that had 3 in it. Squid returned with 4 other boys. The first 3 were introduced by Mr. Pendersky as Joseph, Theodore, and Ricky. They called themselves Magnet, Armpit, and Zigzag. They all have their nicknames, explained Mr. Pendersky. However, I prefer to use the names their parents gave them, and the name the society will recognize them by when they return to become useful and hard-working members of society. It ain't just a nickname, X-Ray told Mr. Pendersky. He tapped the rim of his glasses. I can see inside you, Mom. You've got a big fat hurt. The last boy either didn't have a real name or else he didn't have a nickname. Both Mr. Pendersky and X-Ray called him Zero. You know why he's a zero? Asked Mr. Pendersky. Because there's nothing inside his head. He smiled and playfully shook Zero's shoulder. Zero said nothing. And that's Mom, a boy said. Mr. Pendersky smiled at him. If it makes you feel better to call me Mom, Theodore, go ahead and call me Mom. He turned to Stanley. If you have any questions, Theodore will help you. You got that, Theodore? I'm depending on you. Theodore spit a thin line of saliva between his teeth, causing some of the other boys to complain about need to keep their home sanitary. You were all new here once, Mr. said, and you all know what it feels like. I'm counting on every one of you to help Stanley. Stanley looked at the ground. Mr. Pendersky left the tent, and soon the other boys began to file out as well, taking their towels and change of clothes with them. Stanley was relieved to be left alone, but he was so thirsty. He felt as if he would die if he didn't get something to drink soon. Hey, Theodore, he said, going after him. Do you know where I can fill my canteen? Theodore wheeled and grabbed Stanley by his collar. My name is not Theodore, he said. It's Armpit. He threw Stanley to the ground. Stanley stared up at him, terrified. There's a water spigot on the wall of the shower stall. Thanks, Armpit, said Stanley. As he watched the boy turn and walk away, he couldn't for the life of him figure out why anyone would want to be called Armpit. In a way, it made him feel a little better about having to sleep in a coat that had been used by somebody named Buffbag. Maybe it was a term of respect.